The sun is high, we're feeling good. In Miami where the spirit's understood. With Bobby Phins Up leading the crew. We're gonna show you what these Dolphins do. Fins up high, the crowd's roaring loud. In the city with the blue and aqua proud. FinStanza's here with the play-by-play. We're getting ready, it's game day. Are you ready for some football? Miami Dolphins standing tall. Are you ready for some football? Showtime at the Hard Rock, y'all. From the tailgate to the field of green with the best fans you ever seen. Bobby's got the scoop, hot off the press. In Miami, we roar to impress. Play your stats and pregame chat.
Good morning, Dolphin fans. It is early. It's not early in Spain, but it's early for me and Sammy. Welcome to the pregame show of FTSN. I'm your host, FinStanza. With me is Sammy. Sammy, how you doing?
Good morning, my brother. It's early everywhere, but it's early where you are. It's 9 a.m. here in San Juan, so it's 8 p.m. where you are, and with Bobby,
8 a.m.
8 a.m. where you are. Sorry, 8 a.m. where you are, and with Bobby is right now. It's not going to be doing us today, but it's 7 a.m. So I can imagine if you live in California, you're a Dolphins fan because probably what time would be like 4 a.m. That's
right now it's 5 a.m.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's just crazy.
But that's Dolphin fans. And people are waking up. How many times have we all done it, right? Like how many times have we all gotten up to watch our different shows? Like George of Fins Faithful sent me a message last night, like at 1 o'clock in the morning. I go, "What's he doing?"
Like, that guy just doesn't sleep. That guy doesn't sleep.
Yeah, and Bobby was sending me something at like midnight, and it's 11 for him. Like we're all screwed up. But honestly, though, it is super cool, guys. Welcome to the Fins Talk pregame show. We're happy to be here with all of you. We whenever there's a football game, we're always going to be on before the game starts because we like to talk about it in the moment, what's happening in the last couple of minutes. But I must tell you, Sammy, how excited are you that the Dolphins, forget about the record, forget about all that, like how cool is it that you've been able to watch this week the fact that the Miami Dolphins are playing a game for the first time in Madrid, Spain?
I've been so amazed about the turnout for Dolphins fans who traveled to the game and Dolphins fans in Europe. That yesterday, that thing at the plaza, even with the rain, was crazy. Thousands and thousands of Dolphins fans there to greet Dan Marino. So there's a lot. Even with a 3-7 record, the fans excited for this team. That made me happy. That makes my heart warm. I'm so proud to be a Dolphins fan right now. Hopefully they get a win today. That will be something. Forget about the rest of the year. Forget what happens during the offseason. Today will be a great win just for the fans who travel over there and the rest of the fans in Spain and all the places who love this team and deserve a win today.
Yeah, I must say, like, the fact that I didn't realize what kind of a star Dan Marino was, but like you just said, the people were waiting in line.
It's an icon.
Like, to us, he's right now, when you look at us as fans, we see him as the guy that doesn't want to do much, but is always on the field at all the games, standing next to Tom Garfinkel and Stephen Ross. But when he goes outside, and he's a celebrity. He's a worldwide, because back in the day, that's what people thought of. Like he was an icon of the game, and that's really, really cool. But what Spain has been able to do, because people say Madrid is a very historical city. Obviously, they have football and they have Real Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, but the fact that the amount of effort and investment that the NFL has put and the city of Madrid has put into all the Dolphin stuff, you can see videos of the stadium and what they've been able to do there, the facilities, the restaurants, the bars, the restaurants that have been pro Dolphins. There was someone who posted something where a group of them were at the oldest restaurant ever in the world. It was built it just celebrated its 300th anniversary, and imagine you're in that restaurant and people are singing "Miami has the Dolphins." Like,
I saw that.
Like, that's unbelievable. They were not very happy, but that's amazing. Like the culture, and obviously, as you know, you and I were talking before we jumped on, that the connection between Miami and the heritage of Miami, even if you're not coming directly from Spain, connected to Spain with the language and the it really connects with people. So, but like you said, the turnout for Miami Dolphin fans and a team that is 3-7 is amazing. Like, it's amazing. I think it's just absolutely incredible. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. I will put this fans base about their passion and their expansion around the world. I put it top 10, top 5 even. So because this fans base, even with the lost generation, but with I think I talked with you so many times about the lost generation because 25 years without a playoff game, 25 years enjoying a victory. That's a whole generation of Dolphins fans who doesn't know what winning a playoff game is, and to have such a great fan base still around the world, passed on by by generations, and you see that everywhere they go, they have fans of Dolphins fans around the world. It's great. It should be commended. That's why I always say this fan base and deserves a winner. This fan base deserves something to be done, and hopefully this offseason we'll see some changes. So I had the Dolphins and keeping the regime at 100% last week. Right now, with some information I had that to 50-50. I think Stephen Ross might be serious about doing some changes. So we might have a chance to talk about it later.
Yeah.
But this fan base again deserves a winner. Deserves uh, those fans deserve to win today at least. Deserve a win because the history of Dolphins traveling around places and winning is not great. Warning, Mr. President.
Oh yeah, he's up. He's up bright and early. 7:07, guys. I forgot to announce that the boss, the El Jefe of this world, Bobby Finstock, who did a great show, which I listened to on Friday night because he couldn't be here this morning because his daughter had something this morning in her
Family
choir
first,
recital.
bro.
Like
Always.
good for him. Like good. Bobby's a real family man, and he loves his Dolphins. It's a second family, but obviously he puts his family first. It's pretty amazing. And no, he just already announced, so we might as well get into it right now because he's already spoiling it. So we might as well put it up. And see, Bobby, I'm already ready for you. I prepared I'm ready with all the overlays. It's phenomenal. But if he wants to pronounce it for us, the game inactives today are Quinn Ewers with emergency quarterback. Rasul Douglas is still not ready to go, which means hopefully Juju Brents is ready to go. Andre Carter, who was just a backup edge rusher that we picked up. D. Eskridge, and Matthew Butler. So, Sammy, when you hear that it's pretty much similar to what we had last week, and that we can go back in with the same team that beat the Jets, the Bills. It doesn't matter if we beat the Jets, Patriots doesn't matter. But we beat the Bills. What are your thoughts on the fact that we're going in pretty healthy considering who we had last week in the lineup?
Of course, Rasul Douglas is the one who pops out. Every time there's someone down the secondary, it goes like kind of gets you kind of worried. But having said that, compared with the Commanders going right now in injuries, there's no excuse for missing Rasul Douglas for a game. So that's the only one who basically pops out to me. Because the other ones, the Eskridge, it's kind of weird that he's taking a seat this week. Hopefully it's nothing about injury, but he's done an okay job returning punts and kicks sometimes, but fumbles, protecting the ball is always first. So I don't know why he's out, but those are the two that jump out as soon as I see it for me. Nothing big.
And then just the reverse, just to give you a comparison, out for the Commanders, the key person I think that will help us the most is DeMar Payne, who's been suspended. But then look at this: Jaden Daniels, Treylon Burks, who we liked back in the draft when he was drafted, Terry McLaurin, Alay Cajo, Trent Smith, George Fant, Ben Sinnott. Like, what a difference in the inactives for going into this game. If you remember at the beginning of the year, and we don't like to prognosticate, but that's why prognostication at the beginning of a season is not always the best thing to do, because if Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin were playing today, I think the verge of the conversation we'd be having today as a fan base, even if we won the Bills last night, might be a little different. But the fact that you hear those names, including DeMar Payne, not there, that's a good sign for the Dolphins that they don't have to face the A-level Washington Commanders. What are your thoughts?
And a run defense that is basically not good. It's an okay defense, but every time you lose a guy like Payne, the Dolphins need to run the ball today. I'm gonna scream into existence. The game plan to the Commanders should not be that different to the one against the Bills. Keep your lanes. Don't let Mariano run. Protect the run, and you should be fine. So, and in a travel week, to basically stick to the same game plan should be huge for the Dolphins. So I don't think there should be too many changes on the game plan because it worked last week, and I think the same game plan should work today.
Yeah. And I want to just add on to what you were saying before, and I'm going to go through some of these key stats just so we can talk about them a little bit. But for me, the amount, whether we're 3-7 or not, the amount of the Dolphins travel, and then what's the most amazing thing to me is I'm from Canada. You're in San Juan, Bobby's Tennessee, but even if you look at people who are in England, who are traveling there, like all throughout Europe, for a team that has not won a playoff game in
Hmm.
this century, like has
Yes.
won one game playoff game in this century, he's made the playoffs like 4 times. Like the fact that the team literally lives and breathes in all of us is insane. It just there's something that's what I don't. That's what the crazy part is about Ross and the foundation and structure of this team, and why sometimes all of us have been so frustrated with this team is that this fan base could be one of the strongest in the NFL historically. It's not
Yes.
like a team that people bandwagoned on with the Patriots or bandwagoned on with the Chiefs or bandwagoned on with the Bills because the Bills were good in the early 90s and not good until the last 5 years. The Dolphins are one of those franchises that since the early 70s, when they were 17-0, all the way to Dan Marino, to Don Shula, to Jimmy John, it's always been consistent where people just continue to fear for this fan base, live or breathe. Yes, we get frustrated. Yes, we get annoyed. But I think it's only more recently. Like even when they weren't making the playoffs the last number of years, we still showed up. And the fan base was still showing up to all these games. Like it didn't matter if you're going to a Rams game, it didn't matter if you're going to a Patriots game, it didn't matter if you're going to a Seahawks game. You'd see a good amount of Dolphin fans traveling for the team, which is just crazy. That's why the organization as a whole should be realizing. You want to know what? Like you don't realize how lucky you are to have a fan base
Yes.
that's this loyal. Like our
Yes.
loyalty, well, that's our problem. Like what if sometimes you know that famous when you're doing a job where you're loyal to a fault. Sometimes you're too loyal. We're too loyal as a fan base, but now we're
Yes. We
starting
are.
to teeter, right? Like we're starting to teeter. Imagine we lost last week, we would have teetered. I think a little
Yes.
bit. So
Absolutely. I do believe I've been a fan, forever of this team.
yeah,
And I see it. I basically see the end of the Don Shula. I see the mild success of Jimmy Johnson because he still was a disappointment. They once that basically did what Jimmy Johnson could not do. He won a playoff game, but that basically was it. Within 25 years, the Dolphins have won a playoff game, and this fans base has stuck with it. But this time is the first time I've seen this fan base. We live in a different era. There's an era where there's so much entertainment, so much you can do, so many sports. Uh, you can get the news. You don't have to go to the newsstand to get the paper. You get the news right on your phone. So you expect instant gratification. You don't like to wait. You don't have to go to the stove to make the meal. You put it in the microwave. You put it in the and it's just like that. So everyone expects instant notification. You get packages to the door of your house. So there's not a lot of patience right now with anything
yeah,
we do in society. So it's different. The Dolphins need to realize that if they don't do something right now, people are gonna keep walking away. I'm not gonna say that people are gonna abandon their season tickets because someone's gonna buy them. I think there's still waiting list that someone's gonna buy it, but eventually, it's gonna hurt. We are taking the risk of not being one of the strongest fan bases ever because I still believe that the Dolphins still are. But if they don't do something now, that's it. Their their
yeah.
their families can tell you, I'm a Dolphin. I know someone. I'm a Dolphins fan, but my son is an Eagles fan or a Buccaneers fan
Yeah.
or Chiefs fan, uh, because you like to win. You like to
It's
win the
recency. It's the famous thing. It's recency bias, right?
yeah.
It's like my
Exactly.
son sees Saquon Barkley running. He wants to he wants to follow that player, right? Oh,
Yeah.
people right now, if people are not so big fans, and the Eagle and the Colts go off this year, oh, I'm going to be a Jonathan Taylor fan. Like it's recency bias, right? That's why, like, you don't realize that the merchandise sales of like Devon Achan, like if the Dolphins turn something around, Devon Achan's a star, you're gonna. That's the one thing at least the Dolphins still have a little bit. That they have a little bit of star power on their team right now with Waddle and Achan, so that sort of gives the mindset. But I wanted to just break out something because obviously we're going to talk about the game, but this is important for us to see. But just recently on NFL Network, just in the last couple of minutes, they were talking obviously about the game. Ian Rappaport and Rich Eisen and Steve Mariucci and Kirk Warner were announcing that the Dolphins brass, whether you're Tom Garfinkel and Stephen Ross, they're hoping to see enough in the next couple games, the rest of the last 8 games, to retain Mike McDaniel. Speaking of Mike McDaniel, if Mike McDaniel does return as head coach Tua Tagovailoa will be the starter in 2026. Now, let's just remind people, last week, I think there was a big argument with me on the postgame show where I kept on saying, Bobby and everyone was coming, a rainy day, and everyone, you were there a little bit, were coming at me saying, no, Mike McDaniel's going to be able to pick his own quarterback, all this, all that. I believe truly that they're tied. And the fact of the matter is that if Mike McDaniel is successful this rest of the season, and they could turn it around and win, go 5-2, 6-1 the rest of the way, and Tua is part of that growth because he's the starting quarterback, if one's back, the other one's back. If one's not back, the other one may not be back or would be benched. That's what I believe. And that's what I've always been saying. Now, people, no, Mike McDaniel, if Stephen Ross loves him, he'll be able to pick his own quarterback. I always said that Mike McDaniel hitched his wagon to Tua Tagovailoa, and he banged the table for the contract. So what are your thoughts on the fact that they're announcing this morning that the goal is to see enough for Mike McDaniel to keep him, and if they do keep him, Tua is your quarterback?
First of all, to quote the late great Bobby Heenan, I don't want to be the guy who say "I told you so," but I told you so. I was the only one who was saying Mike McDaniel's not going anywhere this year, and everybody came at me saying, he's gonna stay the whole year. Now you can confirm that, but I think it's kind of weird. You're not gonna agree with me. Both things cannot be right at the same time. I think Mike McDaniel has to be attached to Tua because again, you're not gonna get an instant quarterback that's gonna be better for you to retain your job next year than Tua. It's just not gonna happen. If you attach yourself to a rookie, it's not gonna be as good as Tua, no matter what. So you're gonna do what are you gonna do? Bring a rookie, trade Tua, and expect to win better and save your job? The only way he saves his job is by winning. And the only quarterback that gives him a chance to win better than anyone else is Tua. So both things can be right. But I think Mike McDaniel knows what Tua can do. I've seen some changes that makes me believe he's not a blind believer in Tua anymore. I think he's going to be honest to Stephen Ross, said, listen, I got the best I could out of him. This is his top. And like the Chiefs did with Alex Smith, the Chiefs had a winning team when Alex Smith was the quarterback, but they said he takes you only to here, and we need to get better. And they focus on Patrick Mahomes, and you see the Super Bowls now. So I think both things can be true. I think that he attached to Tua because there's no one who going to learn the offense fast. There's no one who's going to give him a better chance to retain his job as Tua does now. But, the process to get the eventual replacement to Tua after next year has to start somewhere. I'm not a draft guy from what I see. I'm not a huge believer on the top of this draft class. So if I'm not a huge believer in the top, imagine what happens after the first 10 picks. Who you gonna get? You're gonna reach for a quarterback and you attach yourself to a quarterback who might not be the quarterback you want and regress 4 or 5 years while you still wait for him to develop. It's complicated. So I think he's attached to Tua. If he comes back, and I had that 100% last week, and this week I have it at 51%. I'm still saying he returns, but I'm not as confident. Someone opened my mind about someone close to the Dolphins said, and I think Stephen Ross is basically evaluating everything and everybody, and Mike McDaniel might also get axed, and I think some change might be coming. From 100%, I'm down to 51, but I think both things are true. I think Mike McDaniel knows that Tua gives him the best chance for him to return this year and to survive next year. But I don't think Mike McDaniel is basically as crazy as he once was. I think he's a smart man, and probably he realized that Tua can only get him to some point, and for him to survive long term, he needs to win a playoff game. He needs to do better. So I think both things can be correct, actually.
Yeah, I always felt, and I've been saying it for so long, that Greer, McDaniel, Tua are all tied together, and when one goes, they're all going to go. But I think Stephen Ross just has the mentality that he doesn't like to give up until the last breath, and if he likes Mike McDaniel, he'll hold on to him. But if Tua has a contract, he won't get rid of it. But they're like I said, they're intertwined, because I always said that even if Tua regresses this year, like he has been a little bit with his interceptions, that's a lot of it has to do with coaching. So they could obviously say maybe, okay, well, if they win, Mike McDaniel will be back, Tua will be back, or maybe Darrell Bevel won't be back, that type of thing. They'll find for scapegoats all there. But for me, right now, I think they're trying to maximize what they have. because they don't want to give up. It's sort of like being at the poker table, and you are with your last number of chips, and you can either keep on betting, playing, going all in, going all in, going all in. But I want to just transition before we talk about the game and all that kind of stuff. What really changed the mindset, and I think you could feel it. I don't know if you feel it. I'm sure you do it as well. Like when the Dolphins lose this season, I think I've numbed myself this year a little bit more to the winning and losing. But the joy that the Dolphin fans on X, where you and I are there, and just talking to people who engage with me who are not even Dolphin fans. But Sammy, people who are like my buddy who was on the pregame show a couple weeks ago, Mark. I was getting my buddy, one of my best friends who's a Buck fan. Do you know how many congratulatory phone calls I got last week? Like, you don't understand. People.
Yeah, because they hate the Bills.
No, not they hate the Bills. They know how much the Bills have destroyed the Dolphins for so many long. It's almost like we just won the lottery. Like,
we won our Super Bowl.
Congratulations on your kid. Congratulations, the Dolphins beat the Bills. I am not kidding. The number of people, from my parents to everyone, my kids, my friends, my cousins, my colleagues at work, they all knew that the Dolphins beat the Bills. It was almost like it was our Super Bowl. Like, I don't know about you, but like the engagement. And also, I'm sure you woke up and you're going, wait a second, who cares about the record? We beat the Bills. That's the mentality of the Dolphin fans this week. If you're going in 2-8, I think it'd be very, very different going into Spain. But the mentality, and people don't like to look forward, Sammy, but I'm sure we all do it with the games that have, because of no Jada Daniels and the games that they have the next couple of weeks and then the bye. People are saying to themselves, wait a minute, like it's so Dolphin. So like, what is your mentality on that? Like, what have you been thinking since that win, the engagement you had Phins TV, you had Phins TV Plus with Steve Malloy on Thursday. Great shows, guys. Don't forget to check out Phins TV and Phins TV Plus on FTSN. Sammy is the best. Don't forget about Fast Eddie and everyone and Steve and Randy Day and everybody. What's your mentality? What's been your mentality this week since the hangover of the Dolphins win on Phins TV and on Phins TV Plus?
We had a kind of conversation on Phins TV. Adrian was saying, he didn't like the celebration. I get what I said. They celebrated too much. But I said, look, that's our Super Bowl. We get crap from every network every time we lose to the Bills because Josh Allen only lost to the Dolphins 2 times. Do you expect not to celebrate and feel happy about the Dolphins winning? Of course, you deserve as a fan, as a player, especially, to celebrate because you beat your Goliath. You beat the person you expected to lose to. And last week we all expected to get crushed by the Bills. Let's be honest here. So but I saw karma was scheduled when they flat that banner and say like, it was this close to making a 180 and saying like, they're gonna win just because something flipped. But I would have been crazy if I'd done that. But the Dolphins found a way to win, and the fan base deserved this win. Having said that, everything goes out the window today. Everything's done if they lose in Madrid with the spotlight of the whole affair in Spain for the Dolphins, and they lose today to a depleted Commanders team. So, I was the one who said that if he beats the Bills, he's safe for the season. Nah. If he loses today, everybody.
Oh no! If he loses today, I don't know if you remember last year or this past summer, there was a game at Hard Rock. There was a soccer game where there was a riot and people were like trying to climb into, and people were going through, like they were going through the vents to get into the stadium, and like there was like a riot outside of Hard Rock. Like that's the thing about Mike McDaniel now, and he literally and Tua. In the Dolphins' mind, the Dolphins fans' mind, are playing it game by game by game, meaning that you could beat the Bills. That's good for a week. But if you lose to Washington, you're done. If you beat Washington and then you go on the bye and you come back home and you lose to the Saints, oh boy. Because if you win that game against the Saints and then after that you can't beat the Jets, you're done. Like it doesn't matter. Like they're a game because the thing is that in people's mind, I think in our minds we're all realistic. We're not taking the chance that they're going to go on this massive run. We all want them to, but because we're Dolphin fans, we want them to win. But the moment you get 8 losses, you can't lose again. So because 9-8 is literally a chance to make it. There's no guarantee. The 7 losses is pretty much the cutoff to guarantee a playoff. So 10-7 will get you into the playoffs. So like in your mindset, you're going, and that was the record all of Hopium guys wanted to have. Like we would be happy with the 10-7 season the way it was going, and that's what Tyreek. So honestly, this is a game where if they lose this game, this is the worst loss of the season because it's on a neutral field, but you literally have beaten Goliath, and you're going against a team that doesn't have their starting quarterback, their number one wide receiver, and their number one D lineman, and they are coming off 5 in a row. They're lost 4 in a row. In turn, you have your starting quarterback, you have the better running back, you have your number one wide receiver, you have your number one D lineman, you have your number one safety, you have your number one everything. Like the only one you don't have number one right now is Tyreek Hill. Yes, you don't have Austin Jackson, but you've been like that all year. The key members of your offense that you've had the last couple of weeks in Jalen Waddle, Tua, and Achane are there. They don't have that luxury in Washington. Your best D lineman is there. Your best linebacker is there. Your best safety is there. So you can't complain about the fact that you're hampered by injuries. Your injuries are nowhere near as bad as the Commanders. So for me, Dick, you just said it. You're absolutely right. Everything goes out the window, 100%, and they cannot lose this game today.
The only thing will change that, it's great. They should beat, like you said, they should beat the Commanders. They should beat the Saints. They probably should beat the Jets. A division game against the Jets, everything's out the window. But the game that my side with Mike McDaniel is the next big game, is the last game of the season in New England. The spotlight is gonna be on the Dolphins because so much have you talked about the Dolphins when they have a couple schedule. That schedule of the Patriots, wow, they're ready to crown them, and that schedule is just
if they make
schedule.
By the way,
but they had to go there, and they had to beat the Patriots, and they had to find a way to end the season with a win. That will say a lot. That would probably say my Daniel's job, regardless of what happens the next couple of weeks. But we have to wait and see.
I held off on buying merchandise anything this year. I've been very, very stringent with this. If they have a playoff chance in New England, like an actual real playoff chance, win or lose, more than likely New England won't play their guys because New England's 9-2 and they're on the verge of looking to playoff spot in the next couple of weeks.
I think Bravo will play anyone.
And the Dolphins have a chance to make a playoff spot. I will drive the 5 hours. Like that's not a big deal. Like for me, that will be a big deal. I will get there somehow because I'm used to the cold. It doesn't bother me. This week,
lucky you, just get to the cold.
Yeah. I want to talk about this briefly. This past Friday, for the first time, I think he's already beaten the number of press conference or number of interviews that a general manager for the Dolphins gives per year. I think he equaled Chris Greer. Champ Kelly came out and got interviewed, and the brass that was there and interviewed him seemed to. These are some of the highlights. The fact that they had a back for every single player on the team. They actually assigned what their minimum was, and if they didn't hit their minimum, they wouldn't trade him. So it was no go. We want this and this. If you don't want to do it, we're not.
Yeah. They probably did it in consensus. They probably got together and said, "This is the value, and we all agree, right? Let's do this."
He gave them 25 minutes. He seemed very engaging. People seemed like he was smart because he's played football before. He's been an interim before and all that. The one thing he did dance around, and people were saying, was the fact that Omar Kelly asked him this question: "Who hired you?" And he sort of bounced around that question because people were talking how they never saw him. No one. People knew they hired him at the beginning of the year, but no one made anything of it because you never saw.
I have my theory, but yeah.
What are your theory on the fact that when he was asked that question, he skirted it? So in your mind, who hired Champ Kelly, and what are your initial thoughts? Him on the field last week, you never see Chris Greer. Him wearing the green suit to match salute the service. What has been your initial thoughts of? And the fact he said. The key thing he said was, I have full control to do whatever I want over the next 8 games. This is an 8-game opportunity for me. And there's no guarantee after that. But what changes can he really make except maybe telling people to sit or picking up people off practice squad or cutting players? So what was your overall thought on what you read and what you've engaged about Champ Kelly so far?
Well, first of all, Champ Kelly last week looked like he was ready to invade Venezuela with that suit. He looked like a one of Banana Republic generals.
That suit was like.
Yeah, well, he looked like a Banana Republic, general or something. He looked ready for battle. yes, sir. Yeah. I thought it was funny, but I had my own theory. I'm not saying I was right, but my theory was he was basically a mold by Stephen Ross saying like, look, you're gonna be my outside voice. You're not gonna be connected to the hip to Chris Greer because Chris Greer already had other people that he trusted in there. So he's not gonna come and he be a subordinate right today. That was my theory, and I thought that Stephen Ross brought him from outside the box to overlook, to give his input, but to have a different voice, a dissenting voice. Sometimes you need the dissenting voice in the room. Sometimes you need the voice that tells you what you don't want to hear, because that allows progress. After so many years, there today that's week 2 of Chris Greer guys who there see the one is the Don Chula years, I think the other from the 130 years fired this week. Complacency starts giving up, and after so many years, so many wrong decisions, you can understand why. I think we can go agree on that. There was some sense of complacency, or keep doing the same wrong thing every single year for the last 25 years. So I think that I think Kelly was brought there to be the dissenting voice, the voice outside the box, who can go and say, okay, what do you saw? Give me your opinion. And I think there's a reason why he was named the interim head coach over the other people who could have gotten the job, who's been there with the Dolphins longer. So I think that was a call for Stephen Ross to get him in there. He didn't. I don't think he had a strong relationship with Weir. Probably not with McDaniel. So it will be interesting what goes ahead for the next couple of years. My understanding of what I thought was that he will probably had the chance to be the favorites for next year. Darren Rossini said that the Dolphins job. Look, fans say nobody wants this job. Darren Rossini said the otherwise. Said this is one. Executives in the people around the league are looking at the Dolphins job as a great opportunity. And again, when you have an owner like Stephen Ross who's willing to do everything you need to do to win, he doesn't always do the right hiring. He doesn't always do the right decisions, but the guy wants to win. I will say it to my grave. I think the guy wants to win. He invests his money because he wants to win. So you have an owner able and willing to do whatever it takes. That's going to be enticing to a lot of people in the NFL who wants the job. So that report saying that, a lot of people around the NFL think that the Dolphins job is a great job, considering the cap situation, considering we might not get a top 5 pick, that says a lot. So I'm not surprised, because I truly believe that the Dolphins job is there are only 32 jobs in the NFL being the GM. If you get complete power, you think that the Dolphins job is a great job for others. If you say, you have to keep McDaniel, you have to keep Tua, you have to keep this or that then it's off the table. But if the candidate, whoever it is, gets full control to evaluate Tua, to evaluate McDaniel, okay, we trust you, do whatever, it's a great job. The Dolphins job with an owner, Stephen Ross, willing to do whatever it takes to circumvent the salary cap, is a great job. I think the Dolphins might be able to get the best qualified candidate if they open it and say, you can do whatever you want.
Do you think, though, that, and I read that report also from Diana Rossini, that this is a great job? I think because of Ross, because of the fact that it is Miami, because of the historical, and I think people realize, if you come in, you're a year away from being able to adjust. Either Tua figures it out, McDaniel figures it out, and you have Achane, you have Waddle, and in a year from now, not just now, but a year from now, in 2027, you won't have the cap issues, and you will still have Jalen Waddle under contract and Devon Achane under contract. So you still have two very key cornerstone pieces to allow yourself to grow. And you can have Patrick Paul, and you can develop, and you can draft, and you have a lot of draft capital in the next 2 years. I think that's where the mentality is, that it's a great opportunity. The question is, I think in part of our mind, our fear is that they're going to go, it's a good and a bad thing. Like it's like the carrot and the stick. Like they can go on this run. Champ Kelly keeps the job, McDaniel keeps the job, Tua gets the job, and then we have to wait a full year. Because what are they going to be able to do in a year that allows them to grow? But I agree, and you said this earlier in the show, Fernando Mendoza is a good quarterback, but he's not a generational player. Lenore Sellers is transferring. John Mateer is whatever right now. Arch Manning is struggling. I think a lot of these quarterbacks are going to go back to college because there's so much NIL money. And there's nothing star-studded there. There is no transformational player. And I'm sorry to break it to you, if you look at all the star quarterbacks in the NFL right now, all of them, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, we talk about Jaden Daniels, all these guys. None of these guys were prototypical number one transitional picks. All these star quarterbacks that are successful in this league right now, we're talking about them. We got to go take them all draft long. They were picked and they were dropped. All of them. if you look back at all the star quarterbacks that have been in the NFL for as long as they have been, from Marino to Rodgers to none of them were picked right away. It's how you develop them, it's how you build around them, and it's how you structure them that they become successful. And because the famous line we've been saying the last couple weeks is not where you pick, it's who you pick. Because we took Kenneth
Exactly.
Grant, but look at I don't think that the Colts are as good as they are if they don't have Tyler Warren. You take the best player. Like I look back now, and I think we even talked about this in the draft for Waddle and all that group. In that draft, Penei Sewell was the best player. Penei Sewell was the best player.
I wanted Peninsula in that draft.
Penei
I can
Sewell
say
was your
confidently.
best player.
I wanted that Peninsula.
It's those kind of drafts where you look back and you go, "What the heck are you talking about?" Stop drafting for draft the best player. Like if the best player is another wide receiver, take them. If the best player is a running back, take them. If the best player is the edge rusher, take them, because you can always move other players around to engage in it. But for me right now, the Dolphins are confusing because of the fact that they're teetering right now. Like had they lost last week, we'd be having a very different conversation. But because they won last week, and because their schedule is not a difficult schedule the next 3-4 weeks, and they get a bye, and because of what we saw last week, is the biggest difference for me. By the way, I want to make a point, guys. If you haven't taken a moment, go watch any video about the Real Madrid Stadium, the Bernabeu Stadium, the technology. If we think that we talked about instead, and Sammy and I talks about all the time how Steve Ross, we all talk about, has developed the F1 circuit and the Miami Open and Hard Rock and the investment. What they're doing in the stadium with Real Madrid. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but if you go look at the stadium, Sammy, there's on one side of the stadium where they're showing the word Real Madrid. Do you happen to know what color the seats are?
What color?
Aqua.
Oh,
isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that the colors of the seats in the stadium are blue? That where aqua and orange. That might work out really well. Aqua and white. That might work for the Dolphins. What are the Dolphins wearing today? Aqua and white. So it kind of works. But just quickly for you, because we talked about before the show, and because you're in the role that you play in your job and everything, when we think that Canada, U.S., we have no idea. Europe and Asia are hundreds of years ahead of us. Hundreds of years ahead of us.
The U.S., the land that I love, is the greatest country in the world. But we tend sometimes to believe that basically we're number one on everything. And in Europe, they doing great stuff with the technology, and again, Japan and China, all the places. Those stadiums, the highest roles in sports events are in Europe. The La Liga, the soccer cannot compare to the popularity worldwide at the U.S. People from all over the world travel to watch soccer in Europe. So those stadiums are top notch. The salaries are basically very good salaries compared to the NFL. But the NFL has 33 players. The soccer has much less. So the comparison is not there directly. But in Europe, they take the soccer seriously. Those stadiums are top notch. Those stadiums are the league. There is ever growing because there's so many minor leagues that can go up to it's like like the XFL or the USFL can win their league, and they will downgrade the Dolphins to the minor league and up one of the teams are there. So it's very confusing to me because I'm not a huge soccer fan, but that makes the game wider, so the revenue is greater, so they're ahead of the game so many things. And if we're gonna talk about the Dolphins have done a great job with Hard Rock Stadium. I remember the days of Joe Robbie Stadium, and that it looks like a completely different place. Steven Ross has done a great job. I would love for them to expand the area, so it's a better area when you can end the game and have somewhere to go near the stadium. They have not been able to develop that. That's the only thing that's missing from Hard Rock Stadium. But those stadiums are great. They're beautiful. They have irrigation. They have everything. Steven Ross has done everything, even to buy the grass company who has the best grass fields.
The grass company. He bought the grass company. It's
that you can't believe that. When we talk about Steven Ross again, the winning is not there. But the guy that says, "Okay, we are in a line to. Why couldn't we get the grass? We're in a line with a waiting list because there are grass fields or golf fields that need." Okay, what should I do? He bought the company. He bought the company. That's just crazy.
The funny part is when you see him, the funny part about him is you see Robert Kraft, you see Cronkite, you see doesn't Stephen Ross look like he just wants to be one of the guys? He looks so. That's the thing about Stephen Ross, which is so frustrating to me, Sammy. Is the man is so wealthy and has made so much money off this team in 17 years, even with the mediocrity. But when you look at him as a person and you just see how he engages and how he's dancing when Waddle hits a touchdown and he's engaging and he's cheering
It's
and he's
his
going.
toy. It's
No,
his
but other
toy.
than that, he looks like a guy who really actually looks like a nice person who you want to be successful. Like, that's the thing about Stephen Ross. What's so frustrating is you want him to win because he looks like a guy
Yes,
who literally
I
really does want it to win. But if he, but he
Wayne
does,
Huizinga
but it's his
was
toy.
also this
But
way.
he's
Yes.
a toy, but he keeps on breaking his toy because it's like you're getting your prized possession. You want to build it, but you're not the right guy to build it. He's good at building buildings and skyscrapers. He's not good at building football teams. That's the thing is that he wants it to be so successful. He's trying too hard to be successful.
I've said it. I try to say this respectfully. Please bear with me. If it's Ursay's daughter, who we've seen on the sidelines,
Yeah.
dressing very nicely, hands on the product, was the daughter of Stephen Ross in Miami, the media will be going crazy criticizing it. But because it's not Miami, because we're in a different standard, it happens. But you cannot deny the importance, of the higher power looking over you, to have a hands-on owner who is basically looking at the product every single day, critical, like Robert Kraft and Bob said this at times, and so many others who are hands-on owners, not because they meddle in the thing, because they are there. They know what is happening. They're ready to make changes if needed. Stephen Ross is great. He puts everything in his money. He trusts in the people he hires. But the problem is that I always defend Stephen Ross. I take shots from some of my coworkers on Phins TV because I defend Stephen Ross for the good things he has done. But Steve Ross has failed as a hands-on owner in the part of supervising the product, making the changes when needed. Sometimes he's too loyal, and sometimes his decisions are not the best. The financial decisions, yes, whatever it takes. You need so much money to resign Tua? Okay, let's do it. You need to extend Tyreek Hill? Do it. You need to extend Jalen Ramsey? Do it. That's never been the problem until now, because I think right now, I think that they're handcuffed on the money. I think Stephen Ross said, okay, that's it. Solve it. I'm not going to pour more money into this. This thing is broken. You solve it, and I'll pour money into it. So I think that's why they're not spending that much money this year. But Stephen Ross, as an owner, as a hands owner, spending great. As a supervising owner, no. He just failed. And sometimes it just doesn't work. Wayne Huizinga was a hands-on owner. He was there. He believed in the product. He did everything he could, and he still failed. So you need to know what you're doing. If you and you had to, I think Stephen Ross has been successful in the real estate because and the construction and everything because he probably surrounds himself with people who are capable and smarter than he is. But he doesn't. He did not do this with the Dolphins because the people he's hired. Tom Garfinkel has been great and said I think he's a great president of the Dolphins in the financial area. Hard Rock Stadium, F1, but the Dolphins need a real president, a real football operations president that supervise the football product. I think Tom Garfinkel, for as many great things he's done financially and for the look of the brand, he's done great. But the brand is dying because the Dolphins are not winning. You can travel everywhere. You can have the best facilities. You can have a great Hard Rock Stadium. But if the Dolphins suck on the field, you're still going to lose your fans.
Yeah. By the way, I wouldn't be surprised if Stephen Ross, obviously, I guarantee you he's in Madrid. He's going to look at that stadium and basically come back.
I want a roof.
No, he is going to come up with so many concepts. We think we're A+ now. We're going to be A++ by the next season. It won't be about the thing on the field. He will announce some new technology, some new thing that he is going to build for the stadium next year because that's what's
an app that you can see everything that really works. Yeah, there's so many things that they have in Europe in real time that you don't have in NFL stadiums right now.
Yeah, no, but it's pretty amazing what they're doing now. Before we get to the records, keys to the game, and all that, let's just go like we like to do, going around the NFL.
Give me a chance to get my app. Yes.
Tell me when you're ready.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So today, obviously, we're the first game, but we'll be the last game we talk about.
Yes, absolutely.
Today we have a division game of the NFC South, where the Carolina Panthers, who struggled last week and cost a lot of people in their survivor pools heading into Atlanta to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to face Bijan Robinson, and I don't know if Penix is back, and the Atlanta Falcons. That's a division game. Who do you got in that game?
I criticize Stephen Murray for keep putting something that's wrong, and I'm going to keep putting on the Falcons. So I want the Falcons and the Panthers. I just don't have. It's more about the Panthers. I still, if they beat the Dolphins and they won a couple of games. As I said before, they play to the level of the opponents. So I think they're going to do the same. I think the Falcons at home are going to take advantage. So I spell it offset, and I have the Falcons.
Perfect. Yeah, I have the Falcons too. I think the Panthers' ride at high has struggled a little bit. And because it's at home in the Dome Stadium, I think that it'll be a close game, but I think the Falcons will pull it off. Next, we've got a very, very tough game. We'll see what happens because both of the teams are coming off very difficult losses. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading into Highmark Stadium and to face the Greg Rousseau. It was too high. It was too hot. It was too hot.
The guy who played at the University of Miami.
The guy who played at the University of Miami said it was too hot. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Highmark Stadium to face the Buffalo Bills. Who you got?
I flip-flop a minute ago from this game. I had the Buccaneers and I flipped to the Bills. It's hard to pick this game. Yeah. But I'm going to pick the Bills just to put more pressure into it because if they lose this week, those fans are going to go crazy. That Super Bowl window, and then they're going to see the Patriots already won and they lose this week. Poor Bills fans, because they're going to have a real tantrum this week. That window has been... It might be closing rapidly, and they were already mad that they did not make any moves in the trade deadline. They didn't get maybe they concentrated too much on Waddle instead of looking for another receiver because they missed their chance. They should have added a wide receiver if they make it around the Super Bowl. So I have the Bills just to put salt in the wound if they don't win. So I'm gonna pick the Bills.
Yeah, I got the Bills. I think they're going to be angry. I think the fact that the Patriots won, which I think the fact that the Patriots are 9-2 with Mike Vrabel and Drake May, oh my God, how quickly they turned that around. And they're doing it without a star wide receiver, Ramondre Stevenson. They have Trayvon Henderson, who they drafted, but they're not household names in New England, but they're doing the New England things. It's very frustrating. So if they lose today and they fall that far behind, I think there's going to be angry Josh Allen today, very angry Josh Allen. If it was a road game, I think I wouldn't take them, but because of the fact that they're back at home, I think they'll pick up the victory. And then we got the Houston Texans, who are Jekyll and Hyde, heading into Tennessee to face the very lowly Titans. Who do you got, Houston at Tennessee?
I'm going to pick Houston because I think the Titans are still looking for it. Hey, George, I'm still looking for identity.
Guys, don't forget to take the Faithful podcast.
Yes.
Great shows. Phenomenal guy. Don't forget to check him out also. Post-game show. We'll be on later tonight. But don't forget, right after this...
I think it's after the show. I think George is having the post-game after the show. Yeah, after the game, sorry. After the game. After the game, yes.
Go check out Jordan Faithful and the Faithful podcast with Sammy, if you're going to be there, Jason Sarney, and everyone else who likes to join.
So the Texans are another team that basically play into the level of the opponents. So, it will not be a shock if the Titans beat the Texans, but I think going to beat the Texans.
No, the Texans are going to win this football game. The Titans are just playing for next season at this point. Then we got another strong divisional matchup. You got the the Chicago Bears, who are Jekyll and Hyde. I think they're one of the. I've gotten into a big fight with my brother. Both teams are. They're not real. They're not a real winning team right now. You got the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams going into Minnesota to face the Vikings. Who you got in that game?
I had the Vikings just because it's a home game for the Vikings, because this game could go either way. So I'm going to pick the Vikings because they're at home, because both teams are, they're kind of weird. Teams are looking for an identity at this part of the season. They should have done it by now. They are in trouble. So I think both teams are in trouble, but, I think the Vikings are the better team right now at home.
Now, this is a very weird game. I don't know. I think this thing looks like an obvious game, but talk about a team that's struggling. You got the Green Bay Packers, who cannot score. They cannot score. Going into New York, where they have fired Brian Daboll, they have Jackson Dart is out with concussion. And by the way, ironically, Tua is no longer the topic of conversation of concussions. Now people are telling Jackson Dart, You need to be careful early in your career.
But
Stop
you see the
running.
difference? They're worried. The league is worried, and the team is worried. And he should think more about himself. No one said retire. Oh boy, you should retire because you yeah.
And
Come on.
we got Mike Kafka, Jameis Winston. Talk about a guy
What?
who likes to throw interceptions. There was a year that Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions.
Yeah, I remember that. And 31 touchdowns, right?
Huh?
What was it? 31 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, something
Yes.
like that. So
But this is a guy who could. This is the kind of guy in this game will find Wandell Robin and then throw. And this is a guy who probably today will throw for 400 yards, but throw 4 interceptions.
yes,
So
because he
who
just
do we
wings.
got? The team that can't score, or now the quarterback that literally could throw 400 yards in a heartbeat, and Jameis Winston and a new coach. Who do you got in this game?
I don't know if the media think Jordan Love is Michael Jordan because that guy is Teflon. You know, isn't he the highest paid quarterback in the league? And could you believe if someone I know the press basically always loves Green Bay. They're untouchable because it's Green Bay. But if that was in Miami and you had Jordan Love and we gave him that kind of contract, he was playing that way, and he doesn't play to the standard of being the number one guy in the league, we'll be bashed every single day. So it's Teflon Jordan Love because nothing sticks to him. The guy is unbreakable. No one criticizes it ever. The Packers have been a disappointment. They should be one of the best teams in the league, and that schedule should favor them. So they have no excuse. They're gonna win today, but it should be easy for me to say, they're gonna win today. There's no chance of the Giants winning. The fact that I had to think about it says a lot.
I'm not thinking about it. I'm taking the upset. I'm
Oh,
taking the
wow.
Giants. It's at home. I think there's so much pressure on the Packers. Jameis Winston has nothing to lose. It's a new coach. They're going to try different things. They're playing for next year. Let's see what happens. I take the Giants. Now you got another team, Joe Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals, who are just what an awful defense. You talk about a bad defense. Holy crap. Going into a team that's struggling like crazy and is giving away the division in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bengals and Steelers. Who do you got?
This is a rematch, right? And the Bengals win the first one, right?
Yes.
If I'm mistaken, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. At the last minute they won. Joe Burrow still practicing, but he's still not back, right?
No, you're correct. He's not back yet.
So the Steelers should win, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna pick the Bengals.
Me too. Me too. I'm gonna take the Bengals. Joe Flacco. It's the balance between the old quarterbacks, right? Like because it's the game that the Bengals shouldn't win, they're gonna win. Next, we got another another interesting matchup. I don't really like either team, but got the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Duval to face the Jacksonville Jaguars, and a team that started off great, but now coming back down to earth in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who do you got? Chargers or Jaguars?
I'm not confident, but I'm gonna pick the Chargers just because I do believe they're the better team. But if only because of that, because I think the better team. Because something tells me the Jaguars might win this game because when they played the Dolphins at Miami, they didn't play very well in Florida. Though. So the time change of the zone is early for them. It's kind of rough, but I'm still gonna be the Chargers because they should win this game because they're the better team. But I'm not confident in that pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the Chargers as well. Now, this is a game that I think we'll have difference of opinion, but I think this is probably, for me, this is the game of the week. Actually, no, the second game of the week. There's 2 really tough games this week. This is my first, talk about the Battle of the Titans right now in terms of how the seasons are going. Got the Seattle. This is a divisional game. You got the Seattle Seahawks, Mike McDonald, Sam Darnold, who's playing like an MVP candidate with his group there, traveling to SoFi Stadium to face another MVP candidate in Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. Who you got in this game?
I had the Rams, and I think the Rams, basically, if they win this game, they have a chance to, cement themselves as one of the favorites, the favorite in the NFC. Because I think the Rams lose sometimes, the games they should not lose. But I still think that when you take the balance, defense, offense, running, and everything, I think the Rams might do some damage in the playoffs when it really counts. So I'm going to pick the Rams here. Not completely confident because the Seahawks are playing very, very well. But I'm going to pick the Rams, and I think they win this week. Yeah, that's a great start to the later part of the season. So it will be a huge win if they can pull it off. So I have the Rams.
I actually got the Seahawks. I feel like this is going to be a battle, and I think it's a very tight game. And I just think that the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold's going to do a little bit more than I think they really want this. I think they're a team this year. They're sort of like the Colts of the NFC, and they're like not expected to do this, and what they're doing has been pretty amazing. I'm going to take the Seahawks. Then we got another game, pretty boring game considering where they are in the season right now. You got the 49ers going against Jacoby Brissett and the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona and Glendale. Who do you got?
I have the 49ers, but yeah, it should be an easy pick, and it's not. Again, that's something that says a lot about the 49ers. Uh, they're always next man up, but they keep losing people. So and when they don't have a huge injury during the game, they lose the game. So that's kind of weird. But you know that they're resilient and tough. So I had the 49ers.
I got the 49ers. Arizona's done. And but you see all these worries about Kyler Murray and where he's going to go next year. And someone mentioned the Dolphins. I go over I'll take Tua. I'll keep Tua. Got the Baltimore Ravens, who are on a winning streak now that they have their players back, going into Cleveland to face Dylan. Is it Shador today, I believe? It might be Shador. And the Cleveland Browns. Who do you got?
I take one game a week, which I call my crazy game of the week. But basically, it's my upset of the week. So I'm gonna pick this as an upset. I'm gonna pick the Browns beating the Ravens today. My crazy upset of the week.
That honestly, I might flip flop. I have the Ravens, but because it's one of those games where I think the Browns, because it's a divisional game,
Yes.
The defense there, you never know. I might flip flop on that game. Right now, I'll take the Ravens, but knowing you, I'll probably flip. I have to get back in the standings. I might take a lot of upsets today, and I might take the Browns. Then we got the Kansas City Chiefs going into Mile High against a team that's also struggling to score points, but has a very good record in the Denver Broncos. Who do you got, Chiefs or Broncos?
One of those games I still am not confident in the pick. I flip-flop a little bit in this game. Right now, I had the Broncos. By game time, we'll see when I see everything, But right now, I have the Broncos. But the Chiefs should be worried if they lose this game. They might be out of the playoffs if you lose this game. So this is a must-win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs. They need to win this football game. And then this is probably the game of the week. Got the Detroit Lions heading into Philadelphia to face the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Who you got?
I had Jalen Phillips and the Eagles winning that game because, a home game, they should run the ball well. They should control the weather. Detroit outside, it's kind of getting cold in the Northeast. So I'm going to have the Eagles over there.
No, I
teamed in the Lions.
No, I got, you know what I got? I got Jalen Phillips already getting booed by the fans in Philadelphia.
Not yet.
Because he's going to slip and not pick up a tackle on poor old Jared Goff, or Jamar Gibbs is going to punch him out of the way. I got the Lions in this game. And then, not a very exciting Monday Night Football game. Dallas Cowboys heading into Allegiant Stadium to face the Las Vegas Raiders. What do you got?
I have the Cowboys, but what a disappointment the Cowboys have been. That defense is just awful. And when you trade Micah Parsons, of course, you're going to get the hit. Of course, they traded for the just defensive tackle. That they truly believe that stopping the run is important. But if you cannot stop the pass, the pass rush is not there, you're dead. The Raiders last week, that must have been one of the worst, most boring games against the Broncos in the history of the NFL. So that says a lot about the offense. I don't have the Cowboys just because someone has to win this game.
Absolutely, I got the Cowboys, but Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, they might be one and done. Tom Brady and what they're doing in Las Vegas makes the Dolphins look pretty good, all things considered. Cap, by the way, this is something I mentioned on last week's show, and yes, Ian Rappaport did announce this about Mike McDaniel and Tua. They're tied together, depending on what happens next year, which is something that has not been surprising to me and Sammy. So we're going to move on to the keys of the game, the keys to victory. But let me just go through a couple of stats about the Dolphins' history with the Commanders, because they're meeting for the first time this year. So, guys, Miami's 3-7, Washington's 3-7. The Dolphins are on the spread are 2.5-point favorites. So far this season, the Commanders are 3-7, and the Dolphins are 5-5. The series record, the Dolphins have a 10-6 lead. The last meeting, if we all remember the roller coaster ride, the Dolphins beat the Commanders 45-15 back in December of 2023. Last week, the Commanders, who are now on a 4-game losing streak, lost 42-22 to Detroit. The Dolphins, if we remember, we won our Super Bowl last week by beating Buffalo 30-13. Commanders' offense is 18th overall, but that's with James Daniels, 7th rush, 26 passing, 22 scoring. But obviously, much lower with Marcus Mariota going to be starting. The defense is 30th overall, rush 23, pass 31, scoring 29. The Dolphins' overall offense is 25th, rush 23, pass 24, scoring 26. Yuck. The defense is 24, rush 26, pass 13, scoring 24, which means they should have no problem stopping the pass with Marcus Mariota, and everyone's so critical of the secondary. The turnover differential, the Commanders are a little better. They're -6, Dolphins are -7. So, but the way this is going, the way those stats are going, as I bring that up to you about where the defense is and all the stats, what are your keys right now to a Dolphins victory?
They have to run the ball. The Dolphins defense is going in the ups, and the Commanders defense are going down because the injuries and stuff that defense is really hurting. So they had to run the ball like they did this last week. They can Mike McDaniel cannot get cute by thinking that no. I can go downfield again 2 passes the arm punt we debated so much last week that cannot happen this week. You have to don't get cute. You don't take risks. This is not. I understand you're taking risks against the Bills, so that will make sense. But this is the game. You have to control the game. You have to control the line of scrimmage, run the ball and stop the run. If the Dolphins do that, and they protect Tua don't get stupid, they should win this game.
All the quarterback is active. They're not using him enough right now. They just want to use him staggered to create Dolphins. For me, it's pretty simple. You have to do what you did in the Falcons game. You have to do what you did in the Bills game. Devon Achan's your best player. You have to use Devon Achan. Jalen Waddle is your second best player. You have to use him. Tua cannot be the reason why you try to win a football game. Everything you did last week, rinse and repeat. Just don't throw the ball stupidly.
Exactly.
Tua has to be a game manager. Get through the game. Do not try to be a hero. Do not try to realize that one of your people that you looked up to, and Marcus Mariota, Tua. Marcus Mariota is a backup quarterback since Ryan Tannehill took his job many, many, many years ago. You are not to basically look up to a guy anymore who basically you're a starter, he's a backup. Yes, he's someone you look up to. Yes, he's your Polynesian brother. Doesn't mean you need to basically play down to Marcus Mariota.
He's his hero.
He's his hero. So, but you need to play your game. Give the ball to your best players. Run the football. Do not run and gun. Just kill the clock. Do what you need to do and win the football game. And obviously for me, the turnover battle is important. Force Marcus Mariota to make mistakes. And then honestly, the other key to victory for me is actually Mike McDaniel. Don't get cute, like you just said. Don't be stupid. For Mike McDaniel, his other big mentor, outside of Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan, is Dan Quinn. Because Dan Quinn was the coach of the Falcons when they had an intervention for Mike McDaniel and allowed him to step away for 865 days from the NFL and be able to keep his job and get an opportunity. Dan Quinn is someone who's very near and dear. He struggles against people that mean a lot to him. He cannot be worried about who the coach is on the other team. They have to sort of have like a glass mirror on the other side. It's just a football team who cares on the other sideline and play real football. If they try to overdo what they normally do, they're going to do what they did in all the other games where they lost. Because in theory, the game they've either gotten blown out or they've blown fourth quarter leads. And what my biggest fear is that they're going to play down to the competition, which is something that the Miami Dolphins do a lot. So Just run the ball, control the clock, dead turnovers. You're playing a backup. You're playing a B-level football team. Yes, they're an NFL team, but you are better than this football team. There should be no reason for you not to win this football game handily. So, Sammy, we're now over an hour into the game. I'm sure you want to go get relaxed before the kickoff in about 25 minutes. So, for you right now, what is your prediction for today's football game?
I thought you wanted to talk about what Cap said about the Ian Rappaport's report.
Oh, yeah, no, we could. We did talk about it already, but you can go back to it. Go for it. With the whole tie together thing, I mentioned it, to go for it.
That's kind of confusing to me because if we hire a new GM, whoever that is, I want that person to evaluate the situation independently. So, okay, Tua goes, McDaniel stays. Both goes, both stays. So the fact that they're tied together already, that decision already has been made, that doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense because
Dolphins.
I agree that's very Dolphins, but that tells you a lot. If that's true, tied together is basically saying they're both stay or both go, right? That's what it must mean, because So so if you get in a UGM, that decision has already been made. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. That kind of confused me. I don't. I think that might be more speculation than inside information, or opinion more than inside information, because that doesn't make sense to me.
For me, this doesn't surprise me. I've been calling you about it. You've been predicting. You were right about the prediction about the fact that Mike McDowell will be here all year. I was right about the prediction that those two are tied together. They're either not here together. They're either here.
Well, tied together, they might be. McDaniel being tied together to the hip by with Tua.
Can't pick another quarterback. He is not picking another quarterback for this franchise. He is not. Not going to happen. He either wins with Tua, loses with Tua, or he's gone. And I've been saying that forever. He's not picking his next quarterback because there's no quarterback to pick next year. If you go look at the draft now, there's no quarterback to pick that's going to change your franchise next year. That means, and you're not going to want to go more than another year of disappointment. You can't go 5 years without winning a playoff game with the same head coach. Is that going to happen? He does that no matter. From here correctly, Super Bowl run starts today. Yeah, absolutely. Super Bowl today, absolutely. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you something before we talk about our predictions.
Make your bets now, according to Evan, not me.
Yeah, no. Well, the crazy part is, Sammy, I will give you kudos. Of all, I think it took Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa going to Europe to have their best press conferences, their first press conferences, where they're sitting at a table, being interviewed, being given softball cookie questions by the European brass. They were so prepared. They were so relaxed. They didn't say anything stupid. They didn't talk out of both sides of their mouth. It was honestly, I gotta give kudos. A+ to Tagovailoa and Mike McDowell on their press conferencing skills in Europe.
I can assure you, Evan, they were prepped from Miami all the way to Tatooine, because there's no way that happened just because of a coincidence. They were prepped. They finally realized, okay, we're in the international space.
Global.
The European press pulls no punches. It's not Omar Kelly with the no. Those guys press no. If you've seen the international press, it's completely different. Yeah. So they must have been pressed from Miami all the way to Tatooine, and they say, this is it. Stick to it. If something goes off the right, go back to the same point. I think I talked to you about the snake and the elephant in media, interviewing with the media. So I think they were very, 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 very well coached this week. I don't think that's a coincidence. Hopefully they come back and they stick to the plan and stick to the script. Because I appreciate honesty, and I'm going to take a minute to cover all of this. The Dolphins media loved Mike McDaniel at the beginning compared to Brian Flores, because Mike McDaniel was honest, gave him something to write about, and quirky, but this was relatable. They gave him stuff to talk about, and Tua has always been the same way, and they felt like, okay, they love me here. I can be whatever when I want, and they love me here. As soon as the winning stopped, the media turned. They had to do the job. They go back to who they really are. And they have to do whatever it takes to get the information. So it became a mess, a public media relations mess. And I think that the Dolphins media team, should have thought about a little bit more, because your head coach and your quarterback are the friends of the franchise, and is the ones who basically tell the whole world what the Dolphins franchise is all about. And the media in the United States and the national media took punches at Tua every single press conference. Turned on Mike McDaniel for the innovator, and he's so much different. He's a player's coach. They turned on Mike McDaniel. So they did the right thing this week going to Europe, because those guys in Europe probably were ready to pound on them as soon as they saw blood. So glad you acknowledged that, because hopefully they come back to Miami and they stick to the plan. They stick to, to get being prepped really well before a press conference. That says a lot.
Hua, we wrote an article about you, what you did in Alabama. Oh, Mike McDaniels, Reed Sinet, who's playing quarterback in Spain. Like all this, it's just very funny how it was just worked out for them, those two this week at the press conference. It was quite funny. So, Sammy, the Dolphins, in my lifetime of this decade, don't do well in Europe. But of all the games they played in Europe, This should be the easiest one. Do the Dolphins pick up a victory in Madrid? And if so, what is your final score?
I'm gonna say yes. I wish I was more confident. The fact that they did travel on a Monday to prep for the time might be good if it works, might be really bad if it doesn't. The Dolphins going to Europe doesn't have the best results every single year. Uh, uh, all of a sudden this week, all those players that were kind of hurt came back to practice and stuff. And like they were all of a sudden a free trip to Spain. I'm not missing this, so it makes me kind of So I'm not as confident as we should be with a team like the Commanders who's hurt and the win the Dolphins had last week. I'm still saying they win. I still think they it's not going to be a field goal game. But if you hopefully I'm wrong, but if you expected the Dolphins to beat down the Commanders like they beat on the Bills last week, I think you might be in for the disappointment. They might win for as much as 7, maybe even more. But I don't think the Dolphins win handily. I think the Dolphins should and will win, but I'm still cautious. I'm not feeling great because the Dolphins driving to Europe usually doesn't bring the best results. What do you think?
What's your final score?
I'm gonna say Dolphins 24, Commanders 17.
Wow, DSG 21-17 Skims. I don't know why, but today is a game where when the Dolphins are supposed to win, they make it really hard on themselves.
Yes.
This is a game that is right for the pickings, but because Tua Tagovailoa is playing against Marcus Mariota, because Mike McDaniel is playing against Dan Quinn, this game is going to be closer than it necessarily should be. The Dolphins should win. They will win, but it will not be a game where any of us are going to be going on post-game shows or be tweeting or be messaging us saying, what a phenomenal victory. It's going to be a frustrating, annoying, stupid Dolphins win. And the Dolphins will win 27-23. And the fact that they allowed this team to score 23 points and the fact that it might still be close heading into the fourth quarter is still going to be an indictment on the fact that the Dolphins can't get out of their own way. Let's hope I'm wrong. Let's hope it's a repeat of what happened in 2023 where they won by 30. They should win by 30. But the Dolphins are going to Dolphin. They're going to get nervous. They're going to say, oh, my God, it's my mentor. Oh, my God, it's my hero. Oh, my God, it's Europe. Oh, my God, we're on the world stage. Oh, my God, Tua's going to throw picks. Oh, my God, we're going to fumble the ball. Oh, my God, we're going to keep this team in just because we want to keep it interesting for the media. Maybe we'll think football is more rigged today than it was ever before, but the Dolphins will pick up the victory.
Think of that game against the Chiefs in Germany. The Dolphins were hyped. They talked so much crap, and Tyreek is not playing with us right now, but they say so much about we're ready and we're here and we prep and that game from the first series, the team was flat. So you're gonna know very early where the Dolphins stand. If you see a Dolphins team that is flat and doesn't come out like they came out against the Falcons, against the Bills, and it comes out like they came against the Ravens where they're basically flat, the Dolphins are in trouble because when they come out flat from the start. They're messing up. So by the end of the first quarter, how the Dolphins stand and how much is the chance the Dolphins have to win this game.
Guys, we're so excited. We were excited I think we were excited on Sunday. We were excited on Monday. We were excited on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now we're now 20 minutes away from game time. I'm telling you, the Dolphins should win this game.
I love that.
The win is a win.
That's a great comment.
We'll take the win, but the Dolphins are primed to win this football game. But the fan base will 180 degree turn on Mike McDaniel.
Yes, absolutely.
It will be
worse than before. Worse than before.
You thought it was bad with Chris Greer. If they lose today on the national world stage against a team that they're supposed to beat, that has lost 4 in a row without their starting quarterback and their starting wide receiver, no more excuses for the Dolphins. This is done. This is finished.
I agree. On the contrary, they find a way to win after beating the Bills, having a bye week next week, having basically this week as a winning week, Thanksgiving week, going into the bye after the bye, with a win against the Bills, a two game winning streak. That's gonna be a great Thanksgiving because you're gonna feel like you're flying high as a Dolphins fan in Thanksgiving where everybody's talking football and the Dolphins beat the Bills and beat the Commanders. So on the other hand, if they lose, it's a 2 week of losing. The stink will last 2 weeks and more. They have to win today.
Oh my God! It's like they have to. They didn't have to win last week. We didn't expect them to win last week, but
But they have to win today.
They didn't realize it by winning last week. We expect
now they have to win
this week.
Now they have to win today.
They have no choice. So, guys, appreciate everyone watching. From Ray, from DSG, from Crazy Dolphin, to Cap, to Bobby. We really appreciate it. Hope everything goes well with your daughter today, this morning. Guys, don't forget to check us out tonight, 8:30. I'll be in and out. I'll see when I can get there because I have something for my kid in the evening, but I'll be there for the post-game show at 8:30 on FTSN. Don't forget to check out all the post-game shows from Finn's Faithful post the game. I'm sure you'll see Finn, Sammy, Adrian from the Rainy Day Pod, Jason Sarney. I'm sure you'll see Frank the Tank, everyone there. They're always a great show. Hopefully I can pop in at one point, depending on where I am. Sammy, do you have any final thoughts before we go watch this phenomenal football game in Europe?
Just win, baby. Vamos. Just win.
Almost, yeah. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you for watching, getting up this early hour. The Dolphins should go on to win this football game without any problems. If they don't, I think the Dolphins nation might actually implode in Europe. It'd be worse. You think Dolphin fans in North America are bad? Europe? If they lose a soccer game, the second game of the year, there's a riot. Imagine the Dolphin fans might riot in Europe if they get away with it there. You never know. So, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, fins up.